Good morning, Softball America. We are here. We apologize for the delay. Technology sucks sometimes. What doesn't suck? Softball season. Gray Robertson, Tara Henry, we are here. Good morning, partner. How are you?
Good morning. Sorry, everybody. It's totally my bad. I'm going to take this one. We're just having some technical difficulties, but I know that you all are having a great time in the chat and just excited to have you join us and get into another fun week in college softball.
Yes. And look, I'm going to be a good teammate. I have like four microphones here. I'm going to get you because Tara's coming to Alabama, Oklahoma tonight. So we're going to get Tara all set up. Everything will be great. We're going to rock and roll. We're going to do our thing.
Yeah, I need to talk to Mac because apparently my laptop mic and the port has broken. So we'll get it sorted and figured out. Hopefully you all can hear me. I can't really see the chat either because I'm on my phone. So Gray's gonna have to help
I
me out
got you.
there, which bums me out because I think that the chat is my favorite part of this whole show. But maybe you'll see a more focused Tara.
Yeah, I will say this though: if we need to talk to Mac, I don't think coming to Tuscaloosa is the right plan since Tim Cook is an Auburn grad. But either way, it all works out. Also, just real quick, I gotta be me. Shout out to Rory McIlroy, Masters champion, one of the best things I've seen in a long time. So cool. I just had to say that. Had to get it out of the way. Okay, we've got a busy show coming up. Megan Grant from UCLA will be here. Will she hit a grand slam while on the show? That would be difficult because there will only be three of us, but it's possible because she's been hitting grand slams for the last 3 weeks, basically at will. And also, Tara, we're going to look at the big weekend in the SEC, a lot of top 10 matchups, a couple things that went down out west, Florida State included, a nice sweep out at Cal this past weekend. We'll talk about the top 25. We'll dive in a little bit to bracketology and the RPI. We talked about that last week. We'll look over some of the profiles and then get ready for the week that's ahead. But before we do all that, Tara, what do the people need to do?
Yeah, head on over to YouTube. If you're on Twitter right now or X, head on over to YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, please like the page and subscribe and get updates for Softball America over on YouTube. And then head on over to the site on3.com/softball. Just was reading through Brady's weekend in Texas. Quite a piece up there. I think it's over 2,500 words and some really, really good stuff in there about his trip to Texas. It was great for Brady to get out and about and see some games. And there's quotes throughout it from Trisha Ford, Karen Weekly, just some really, really good stuff in there. So that just went up on the site along with the top 25, which I know you've got loads of questions. So head on over there and check it all out and let us know what you think.
Normally, I would send in the chat this question, but I'll ask now. What time is Megan Grant coming on?
It will be on at half past, so 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific.
Okay, great. And also, we want to hear from you in the chat. Let's flash some
Yes.
messages. Tell us where you're watching, how you're doing. Good
I'm
morning.
gonna fix my camera here, Gray, while you do this.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
Julie Howard, good morning. Tara and Gray. Michael Brown, good morning. Softball.
there we go.
Gabrielle will wave back. Hello. Let's see, because I see a lot of questions already, which I'm just flashing the hellos. We'll get to the questions in just a minute. Cheyenne, good morning to the terrific Tara and the great Gray. I can work with that.
Oh, good morning, Cheyenne.
Hey, look who's back. It's Fang.
I was wondering what happened to Fang. Has he been out of the country?
He was on a trip out of the
Oh,
country, but he is back in America where he can join us live at a regular time, not at 2 a.m.
I love it. Welcome back and welcome home, Fang. Can't wait to talk some softball and obviously have his insight in the chat.
Oh, yeah. Thomas Perez, good morning from Fullerton.
Awesome.
Jeremy, Roll Tide.
Fullerton, California?
I have to assume so. Is there another one?
Cool. I don't know.
Probably.
I'm just asking. That's the only one I know. It's just
Yeah, me
down the
too.
street from where I grew up.
You should, hey, Thomas, go join Tara. Bring her a working laptop.
I'm in Atlanta, but I grew up just
Oh,
like
right.
10 minutes from Fullerton.
That's true. I
Yeah.
forgot. That would be impressive if you were in California right now coming to the game tonight.
Yeah, it would be.
1012 Pod, good morning. Getting a lot of good mornings. We thank all of you for joining the chat. Tara, let's dive right into it. Boy, it was quite the weekend in the SEC. And hello, James Fender. Super chat. What?
Hey James, good morning.
We will talk about the
Oh, do we don't
Knowles.
have a challenge? We don't have a challenge today?
We'll save it for next week.
Oh, dang it.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm not. I mean, what do you do with like
I mean,
what? You would know. I have no idea. What do you do with UCLA?
I, what do you mean?
Like, we called the Hogs with Courtney Deifel. What would the challenge be
Oh,
with Megan Grant?
it's the eight clap. Like that's not difficult. Have you ever done an eight clap before?
Probably, but I'm sure I didn't know I was doing it.
Oh, yeah. So it's sort of like calling the hogs, but there's because your arms go up. So uh it would be you'd obviously have two Bruins on here to help support that. But yeah, we could do that. I was thinking more of like singing for you singing Boomer Sooner or something.
I don't sing. So I only sing at one location, and that's down the hall after football games. The Howlands and Misty
I
Stamper
was
know what
just
I'm
gonna
talking
say
about.
you do sing, Gray. You go to karaoke.
Karaoke night at Westgate after football games is a sacred tradition, and the
Oh.
video evidence of that is secure in multiple locked albums on several phones.
Well, maybe somebody can figure out a challenge in the chat. I can't see the chat, so Gray will be able to actually choose if he wants to do it or not. So,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, how about we talk about this challenge? Trying to hit Carlin Pickens. Because Tennessee goes to Austin, wins 2 out of 3. Look, I have had questions about Tennessee at times this year, but winning a road series at Oklahoma and a road series at Texas, that is incredibly impressive. That's the only team in the league that had to play at both of the new members in the Southeastern Conference. Pickens was awesome. McKenna Gibson was awesome. Tennessee was able to get the hits that they had to have. Their offense, again, kind of does enough each game. And the weird, frankly, strategy of game one, starting Pickens and pulling her after an inning, it paid off. So shout out to Karen Weekly. The weekend kind of went according to plan for the Lady Vols.
Absolutely. And I loved Karen's mid-game interview when they asked, what's going on with Carlin, right? I thought she was hurt because there was I guess a clip of her holding her shoulder, and Karen's like, she's fine. Like, she's good. And I think a lot of people were questioning that decision to throw Carlin in game two, and it paid off, Gray. I think we can look at some pitching decisions uh, across the whole country, and that's one thing that I think is highly questioned. And hats off to Karen for putting that together. And it's funny because I think we talked about Tennessee's offense early, and I know I'd had this conversation with both you and Brady, and I feel like we could pull it up every week where I told you both that I wasn't concerned with Tennessee's offense, and I think they've proven that they can get it done. And to win on the road at OU, at Texas, they didn't do enough, just do enough. They won both of those series, and
Yeah.
you're right. A lot of that has to do with McKenna Gibson. And I think Craig Snyder in the dugout, just his energy, his ability to game plan. And again, Brady put a few words up on the website, and I encourage you all to go and read that because it gives you an idea of what Craig is giving those hitters day in and day out, how they prepare and what he's been able to do with that offense. And just really, really impressed with Tennessee. And we'll see if they can keep this momentum going, Gray.
Well, and I will say this. We talk a lot on the radio broadcast about the importance of those insurance runs, and it's not lost on me that Tennessee and both of the wins at Texas were able to add a run in the 7th inning before going to the bottom of the 7th. Just make that job a little bit harder for Texas. A lot of props to Tennessee. When you win hard games like that, you set yourself up for the belief that you can win those types of games once you get to the postseason. So Tennessee, probably the team that one of the two teams that probably made the biggest statement this weekend. Now, on the Texas front, any concern? Is this just they ran up against Pickens, it happens, or is it a little deeper than that?
I think Carlin Pickens has proven to everyone that she is the best pitcher in the country. And when she's able to go back-to-back days and pick up 18 strikeouts against a Texas offense that at one point was leading the SEC in almost nearly every category, and for her to speed up an offense that is their ability to adjust and make in at bat adjustments from bat at bat to at bat for them to really struggle against Carlin Pickens. I think it tells us she is the best pitcher in the country right now. And you're going to have a very hungry Texas team this next week, which we've talked about LSU's uh, road in Texas, their road trip, and I think that's going to be difficult. But again, I think how they respond is the most important part of this, Gray. And I believe that it was a tough weekend. And again, Carlin Pickens is the real deal, flat out. And I think you've got to be able to respect her. I think you've got to be able to respect what she can do, not just once, but as she has proven 2 days out of the weekend. So just hats off to Tennessee. I've been really, really impressed, and they continue to get better. And Texas, had a nice outing on Friday, and I think, oh, the chat's coming up. Let's
I
go!
got you covered. I forgot we could
Yay!
do that.
I was feeling kind of sad, like I wasn't a part of it. But I think Texas, how they respond to me, is going to be the biggest test here.
So my last thought on this, Tom and I did the boxies on the Out of the Box podcast this past week, and we were split on SEC midseason pitcher of the year. Tom took Carlin Pickens, I took Tegan Cavan. They were pretty much 1 and 2 in every category in conference play stats. Pickens is now the front runner. And again, awards are awards, whatever. But like you said, not only did she prove that she's the best pitcher in the SEC, but she's probably 1 or 2 in America, depending on how you feel about Kennedy and how this year's gone. But yeah, Carlin Pickens, very impressive. And Texas will try and bounce back against an LSU team that is suddenly reeling. Tom is on what we call swoon warning. I'm on swoon watch. When there's a tornado warning, that means you've got one down on the ground. If there's a watch, that means the atmosphere is ripe for tornadic activity. I'm not calling LSU's current state the swoon that we've seen over the years yet, but Texas A&M sweeping LSU was frankly a big surprise. I did not see that coming at all this weekend. Hats off to the Aggies, our new number 1 team, who just took it to LSU in 3 very different ball games this weekend.
Yeah, how about it? New number 1, everybody, in the top 25. I don't think there was any argument with Texas A&M at 1 that I saw on the socials. But yes, Trisha Ford I just was so impressed with how she managed the pitching staff. And what I love is she brings in Kennedy to shut the door. And it's Kennedy, I believe, is now finding a way to be that All-American. Oh gosh, the chat is cracking me up. Maybe we should take it off. But
Keep
so
going. We'll
Texas
leave it for
A&M,
now.
yeah, Texas A&M, they've got a lead. They've got a chance to actually come in and shut the door. And when you see Emily Kennedy coming out of the bullpen, I don't care who you are, a lefty that throws 70 plus is going to be intimidating. And I think Trisha Ford has utilized that pitching staff, even with Sydney Peters dealing with some injury very, very well. And again, an Aggies squad that is now number 1 in the country. Hats off to Texas A&M and what they were able to do. A sweep of an LSU team that they hit. They're going to score runs. LSU's going to score runs. And I think we're seeing the Tigers are trying to figure out who's going to be the number 2 and 3 there.
Yeah.
On staff.
Heavner was not sharp, and A&M had such a good plan for Brazan. It just spiraled quickly, and you could tell that LSU was trying to figure it out on the fly by starting Tatum Clopton in Game 3. They knew that they had to do something different because of what A&M was able to do on Brazan in Game 1 and the way Heavner was so shaky in Game 2. And Emily Kennedy still wasn't like lights out, but she's getting a little bit more consistent. And honestly, if the offense is able to back her up like they did this weekend, I'm not crazy concerned about the Aggies. It's still, frankly, a little strange to have them at number 1 because when I watch them, I'm like, is this the best team in the country? But the results are undeniable. So A&M, hats off to you. My grandparents are pleased.
I was gonna say, I mean, you're part Aggie, Gray, in
It is
there a
half
little
in my
bit.
blood.
Come on then. Yes, I know it was so interesting to do the top 25, and we'll get into that a little bit. But yeah, the Aggies on top there. Had OU won last night, I was back and forth on OU and Texas A&M in that one spot. So I just made it a little bit easier, honestly, to vote that number one spot. And again, we'll be in Tuscaloosa tonight for that rubber match. I know you're just itching to talk about Alabama, Oklahoma, Gray.
We will talk about Alabama, Oklahoma. We're going to talk about one more series before we bring on our guest because the chef is almost ready to. I couldn't complete the pun, but Megan Grant will be here in a minute from UCLA. Arkansas taking down South Carolina in Fayetteville. This was again kind of back and forth, couple one-run ball games in games 2 and 3. Arkansas has just continued to kind of keep doing what they've been doing after a shaky start in conference play this weekend. It was kind of everybody except Bree Ellis that was really exceptional this weekend, and the pitching did enough to hold down a scrappy Gamecocks lineup.
Absolutely. And hats off to South Carolina. That team just flat out competes every pitch, and did the recap for a pair of those games, and just really impressed with uh, Ashley Woodard's squad. But Arkansas doing enough, like you said, Gray. I think this is the one where that offense just did enough. Still impressed with Ella McDowell behind Bree Ellis, but Bree Ellis with the hit by pitch gets that go ahead run. So doing it any way they can, any way possible, and just clicking on all cylinders. I've just been really, really impressed with Courtney Deifel's squad and what they've been able to do this season. Just really, really fun to watch, and an offense that is dynamic. You got Reagan Johnson at the top that can kind of do a little bit of everything. And then you've got those Bogle Bombers throughout the lineup. And nice to see Courtney Day as well back in the lineup contributing. So I think we're looking at an Arkansas team that is just rolling through SEC play.
I see your comment, Brian. UCLA deserves way more respect. Well, you know what? Let's show a little respect to the Bruins. I'm going to turn off the chat and bring in somebody like just again, I'm going to ask her about food, but you want to talk about cooking up things? Grand slams. I mean, she's been doing it for like 10 games in a row, it feels like. One of the best power hitters in America from UCLA, Megan Grant. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
Good, great. Thank you.
I love it. Are you going to go, Gray, or you want me to?
I'll go. I'll ask about the power. What the heck? I mean, these last couple games, you have just been on an absolute tear. This week, 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, grand slams out the wazoo. What's got you swinging with so much confidence right now in the box?
Honestly, it has everything to do with trust, I think, and confidence. Just trusting in my abilities, my swing at the end of the day, and just trusting all the work that I put in. I mean, not just throughout this year, but throughout like all the years I played.
And Megan, I was able to read a piece by Rhiannon Potke, and she kind of explained a little bit about what you went through preseason and fall, and how you connected with Coach I on the mental side of things. And I would love for you to share what that process and journey has been like for you, because I feel like there's a lot of young players that out there that go through some struggles, not necessarily hitting a rise or hitting a drop, but the mental side of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's not talked about enough within the sport. And a lot of it has to do with last year and just the idea of sometimes not fulfilling your own potential. To me, like a lot of the external stuff doesn't matter, but the thing that kind of gets me the most is what I believe in myself. And in terms of last year, I just thought I could do more, and I was in like kind of a dark place. But I mean, Coach I, being the woman that she is, she really just helped me out of that in terms of she always knew when something was up with me. Like even if you can put up a front with her, but she like her intuition is just like that. And so her just being able to like sit down, one-on-one, just have conversations with me and like even open herself up to me. That meant a lot. And it made me near the end of like more when we entered postseason, be a lot more free in just everything that I did on and off the field.
I love that. And I'm glad that you're talking about it because it is something that more people need to talk about. Is it also quite freeing to be hitting next to Jordan Woolery again? Because the two of you have just been, like I talked about your tear, but the dynamic duo, this is as powerful a 1-2 punch as there is across America.
No, I have to credit a lot of my success to Joe. Like, you know, with her being in front of me, it kind of like, it makes my job a little bit easier because, you know, people are afraid to tackle her and for right reason. I mean, watching her at practice every day, I'm like, sheesh, like, my God. I mean, she is just one of a kind person, one of a kind player. And just being around her every day is just so special to me.
Oh, I love that. And you are a Bruin, you're Bruin through and through. But I also want to talk a little bit about your club team and growing up and what it was like to be a part of the Corona Angels and some of your other travel ball teams that you were a part of and how that helped shape who you are today.
Yeah. So my upbringing is a little interesting. So I started with my local team, the West Bay Warriors, and we had some team name changes. So we were Warrior Academy. And then when I got to college, you know, my seniors were Megan Framo and Aaliyah Jordan, who are Corona Angels through and through. And I remember just talking to Aaliyah, and I always call her Big Dog, like that's my girl. I was like, Aaliyah, Big Dog, like please take me to see Marty. Like I've heard the stories. Like I need to see this guy like in person, live in action. And so she was like, fine. And like she brought me to him, and he's really just changed the trajectory of my career being here because he reminds me a lot of home. And, you know, having the same mindset that I do in terms of softball, we're just both fanatics. And he's really helped me in terms of just overall hitting and mindset as well.
All right, I am going to ask you about food now. Quick story. I don't think you know this. Vinny does. I'm one of the Alabama radio guys, and when Alabama played UCLA, I believe your freshman year, they pulled up the graphic of your top 5 recipes or whatever. And I kid you not, we discussed it for an entire inning on the Alabama radio broadcast. So I wanted to ask how that list has changed over the years now that you're an upperclassman and you probably have continued to gain cooking experience.
Well, it's funny because I've gotten a lot of talks on chef and everything, and like in reality, I give no credit to myself. I'm not the best cook. Like I'm someone who just wants to keep learning from it. Like I wouldn't say I'm Gordon Ramsay, 5-star Michelin chef. But you know, when it comes to things I enjoy and like it honestly just goes back to like hobbies, mental health too, like things that like I can take good control of. Like it comes back to like cooking in that sense, or like even like playing basketball, video games, hanging out with my family, like stuff like that. When it comes to my list, I would honestly say I'm a creature of habit. It's very consistent. Things are the same. So nothing really changing in the realm. But no, I don't know. I've been like working with like the air fryer and stuff like that. You know, just trying out some slight things.
Do you bring any treats to the clubhouse, or is that a
Treats?
Well, Caitlin Riley brought like jalapeno bread last week. I was like, "Who made this?" And she said, "I did." I was like, "What?" And then I ate some. So I don't know. It happens.
No, you know who actually makes really good like little treats is Taylor Tinsley. She has this like Rotel dip, and we've been like using it, watching like the Final Four March Madness games, like with UCLA. Like it's been crazy. So we just get together, eat her Rotel dip, and like just watch the games, have a blast.
That sounds awesome.
That sounds so good. And Megan, first year in the Big Ten and been able to travel and see some different places. What has that been like for you? Obviously, going from the Pac now in the Big Ten, and what's that experience been like for you and the team?
It's been surreal. I mean, just not everyone has the opportunity to say that they've switched conferences and gone to so many places just to play softball. And I think it's just a great experience for us as a team because UCLA is like a one-of-a-kind place. And just for us being able to travel different places. And I was talking to our director of ops, and she was telling me, like, wow, I can't believe how many fans that we have even out here that we just never have gotten to see when, we were always in the pack. So it made me like a little bit like, like in my heart, it got deep down because sometimes you forget the impact that you have on, the little girls that aspire to be like you. And so it's a good reminder. But aside from that fact, it's also the greatest challenge that we face in, coming to the Big Ten, and just like meeting these different opponents, people that we haven't normally seen before. It's just the weather too and the environment, everything is it's been great so far. And I just can't wait for some more.
Well, I will say this. It is not lost on me the ironic nature of the fact that this weekend the battle for first in the Big Ten features two teams from formerly the Pac-12 as your Bruins take on the Oregon Ducks. What fires you up about that matchup, and what does your team need to do in such a big series this weekend?
Oregon's beautiful. But Big Ten is great, but always love being with the pack at the end of the day. And going back to Oregon, just excitement. We are just excited to get back on the field and play. Usually it doesn't matter who the opponent is. Any person in the dugout that wants to face us, we're ready, head on. That's just kind of our mindset that we've been taking throughout the games.
I love that. And last one from me, Megan. Gray doesn't know how to do an 8 clap.
No.
How does this keep happening to me? I keep getting outed on the pod.
Bad. No.
And so I told him, I said, maybe Megan will teach you how to do an 8 clap if Gray would participate. So I'm gonna leave it up to Gray if Gray wants to learn how to do an 8 clap. I mean, you've got two people that know how to do it, but I Megan, how do you feel about teaching Gray how to do an 8 clap?
I think it's a must. It's definitely a must. We have to.
I'm sure this will be much less awkward than calling the hog. So let's go. Fire me up. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. So I like to do a little, warm it up a little bit first. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, U, C, L, A, U, C, L, A, fight.
Got it, Gray? You ready?
I think there were a lot more claps than I thought there were.
So it's U, 1, 2, 3, C, 1, 2, 3, L, A. So 3
Okay,
claps.
I think I got.
You got it?
I think I got the rhythm.
Okay,
all right.
ready?
Okay,
lead the way,
but
Meg.
the thing is, we have to have a lot of passion because we're Bruins. So we got to get lit, okay?
I did once get a pin from UCLA's athletic department one time, so I will. It's in my closet, but I should have worn it.
Gray, you're an honorary Bruin.
Yes.
Let's go. I am coincidentally wearing blue. That was just the clean shirt I had. All right, let's go. I'm ready.
Okay, warming up a little bit, okay? All right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, U, C,
Oh.
L-A.
UCLA. Fight.
Period.
Hey.
Okay.
I love it.
I think we did all right.
Yeah, I was a little off. It's okay. I've got mic issues. I've got video issues.
It was the mic issues, but it's okay. No.
I was short on a clap, but that was my first time. So
it was first timer, so I'll let it slide.
It's all good. It's all good.
I love it.
Well, Megan, congratulations on a great year so far. I'm sure plenty of greatness still to come the rest of the season, and best of luck to the Bruins this weekend against the Ducks and moving forward all the way to the postseason. Happy to have you here today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks.
And thank you to Vinny, wherever you are. I know you're in the background.
Yeah, Vinny.
Thanks, Megan.
Thanks, Vinny. Awesome.
All right.
Good job.
So I did another thing. Who's our guest next week?
I don't know, but this is great. I love it. A-clap is so easy. Wasn't it easy?
It was easy. Once I kind of understood what the rhythm was,
It's pretty easy. Like that, I think it was easier than calling the Hogs. Now I've done it 1,000 times, but I think, and it's a little faster.
Yeah, I would
Like
agree with that.
old school Bruins do it slow. Like my mom and dad are like into the slow 8 clap, and then like the new school kind of got really fast with the 8 clap. So there's some Bruin history for you.
So, listeners and viewers at home, we're now going to determine our guests not only by who does well on the softball field, but also do they have chance I can do on the show.
I love it. It's incredible. I'm into this. This is the new thing. I love it.
T-shirts on the dirt, Gray doing chants on
Love it.
Good Morning Softball America. Notice how neither you nor Nicole ever have to do anything. It's
I just did
just,
the 8 clap. I called the Hogs.
yeah, true, but I was the one that was called out. Look, Cheyenne literally said, I love when Tara calls him out live.
It's so fun. I mean, like, what are you gonna say? No, you could say no, but I feel like you won't. You're a good sport.
I never say. There's only one team I would say no to because if that clip circulated, it could get me fired. So we're not going to do that. But we are going to talk about some of the high scoring affairs in the SEC.
Yeah.
Real quick, just we won't spend a ton of time on this, and we're getting to the top 25 Q&A in just a minute. Florida Ole Miss, insane, high scoring. Keegan Rothrock struggled, but the Florida Bats were all over Ole Miss pitching. And then Auburn, Georgia. I mean, what in the world? Rose Roach, KK McCrary. It was absolute offensive chaos. And Auburn, how about that? A little bit more back on track right now.
I know. I mean, they're just figuring it out down there. I swear at one point I had the quad box up, which there is a group chat with the quad box. Shout out Amanda Scarborough and Brady Vernon, and was watching a few games and then put Auburn, Georgia up because the ball was just flying out of the yard, Gray. Like it was a back and forth affair. And I just, Auburn went through a tough kind of stretch there, and we're seeing them come out on the other side. They're figuring out just how to do enough again in the circle, and scoring a ton of runs. And I think Chris Malvo and his leadership there, quad box for life. See, told you. There she is.
Amanda's up in here. She's like just down the street. I should have invited her over. Sorry, Amanda.
Yeah, so Auburn on a roll here, and we'll see. I mean, gosh, just looking at everybody's schedule, it's week in and week out. There's just no break. But hats off to the Malvos during Malvo Mania. Like there was a huge promo. Did you see any of this, Gray?
Oh, we did. As you may or may not know, Tom Canterbury is obsessed with wrestling and WWE.
He is? I didn't know that.
Big time. To the point where this week on the Out of the Box podcast, we are doing the second half of the pick swap. First was I made Tom pick the Oscars. This week is I am being forced by Tom to pick WrestleMania, and we are extending an invite to the Malvos to join the show, if not just send in their picks as well. So
wait, I don't even know who the big time wrestlers are anymore, but I used to. Like, I think Macho Man, Randy Savage was a big wrestler back in the day, and obviously the Hulk. Those are the two I know.
Sure.
Undertaker?
I call him the Bell Guy.
Greg calls the Undertaker the Bell Guy. Yeah, Greg doesn't know. I don't know why I'm asking Greg. Greg doesn't know wrestling.
That's specifically why it's part of the pick swap, because I don't know it and Tom doesn't know cinema awards.
Triple H, obviously The Rock. Oh man, I'm just like rolling them off here. If anybody else has their favorite, I don't know who's like in it now. I just haven't watched any since I was probably 10. But when I was younger, my brother loved WWE. I think he even went to one. He had the chairs, you get the folding chairs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that they smack each other with, which is kind of.
I watch WrestleMania pretty much every year with Tom because normally we're on the road. And so I know we have more to get to, but a quick story. The only time I've ever pulled Tom off of WrestleMania was when we were in, I believe, Fayetteville, maybe Lexington. No, it wasn't Lexington. It was Fayetteville because Georgia was playing Kentucky, and Kentucky was winning by 7 or something in the 5th inning. And I said, Tom, come here. Sarah Mosley just hit like her 3rd home run of the game, and we watched Georgia come back and beat Kentucky. And that's the only time I've ever gotten him away from the TV during WrestleMania. So
there you go.
Yeah. It's good times. Softball. That's the only thing that did it. Because
Yeah.
Tom is a company man. Okay, before we get to the top 25 Q&A, what would you like to ask about Alabama, Oklahoma? Amanda's in the chat, so Amanda, please provide your thoughts. Tara, we will see you tonight. Very excited to host you at the Rhodes House. And I've had a blast. This has been a really exciting, fun weekend that has been, I think, very beneficial to Alabama. I've learned a lot about the Tide, no matter what happens tonight.
Well, and I think learning a lot about Jocelyn Brisky and her response. And I know Amanda, who's I think with us here, really emphasized how difficult that is to give up the home run to Maya Bland just the day before and then come out and throw and nearly have a shutout of a team that hasn't been shut out since what is it 2019. That stat is wild. I'm sure
Montana
somebody will tell.
Fouts,
Yeah.
2019.
Oh man, I mean, I agree with you, Fang. I was having this conversation earlier that yeah, Bama should have already won this series. I mean, which is insane, right? And they haven't. And the rubber match is tonight. And I'm going to get my car just as soon as this show is over to drive over to Tuscaloosa. But great, I want to get your thoughts. I know you're there, and I obviously watched it on television, but I think it's different being in Rhodes House because it sounded so loud. And shout out to Emily P. Tech bringing the overalls back out. Those things are so dirty.
They've seen some things.
But they work. They work. And I just want to hear what it was like for you to be there because I know it's probably a little bit different atmosphere.
Well, so Rhodes has been, I mean, it's huge, and we've had sellouts before. This is not the first time there's been a sellout, et cetera, et cetera. The A-Day weekend in particular,
What is A-Day?
That's the spring football game. So sorry to everybody else. So the day of the spring football game typically is a sellout every year, no matter who you're playing, and we saw the crowd this weekend really, really get into it, and really get into it from the jump. Like game one, people were hanging from the rafters. That place was popping. Game two, it was a little more hesitant at the start, and then it was sustained as soon as Alabama got those 2 runs in the second inning. Just unbelievable. I hope it is somewhat close to it tonight. Mondays are always hard because people have work. People who came into town for it have to go home because of work. So I don't think it's a sellout yet. Hopefully everybody who wants to come is able to come tonight for what should be a really, really good game. And I agree, Rebecca. Emily P-Tech's energy alone. There have been some high energy games earlier in the season, but something was different yesterday about the crowd. Couldn't agree more. From a softball standpoint, I'll put on my Alabama radio guy hat on for a moment. I gave Jocelyn Brisky a big hug last night because I knew exactly what Amanda was talking about. What she did yesterday was really hard. And not just in the context of the game before, but a lot of the stuff that's happened earlier in the year. We talked to Megan Grant earlier. UCLA beat Alabama in Clearwater behind 6 runs in the 6th inning. Pretty much all that was off Brisky. She had struggled to put the ranked teams away, and what helped her yesterday was the variety was there. Game one, the only pitch that was really truly working was the change. She had to go to the change a lot. Yesterday, everything in the arsenal was working. And so the third time through was the first time I think she threw a changeup since maybe the second inning. And that's what kind of kept Oklahoma off balance. So a big shout out to Brisky. That was huge for her. It shows a lot of what Alabama can be. And also don't let it overshadow the fact that Caitlin Riley was exceptional as well in game one. I think win or lose tonight, I've seen what I needed to see and what I thought I would see from this team that could tell me what they're capable of down the stretch.
And how about the offense, Gray? Yeah, I mean, to have an offense that is the second best offense since when?
Well, right now, going into the weekend, this would be the highest, I think the second highest team batting average in program history.
Right. Okay. So how about the offense? Like we're talking about Alabama's offense right now and getting it done and in different ways. right? Played a little small ball, a little long ball. And then you got to hats off to the defense too, making plays, making difficult plays
Mhm.
when they needed to be, which we had seen them kind of fold in the past, right? And I think when you see a defense that is able to pick up a ground ball on a drop ball and make an exceptional play or make a great play in the outfield, I think we're seeing uh, a complete game from Alabama yesterday, and a heck of a game on Saturday.
Well, and last thing, and then we can move on to top 25 questions. Murph did tell us in the pregame interview, we're putting in Christian White. We're making some lineup shifts because we want to cause chaos on the bases. We want to try and make Oklahoma have to make plays. That was what Coach Murphy was not happy about, mainly in game one, honestly, was he felt like the offense made it too easy for the Oklahoma defense because they just didn't put enough competitive balls in play. And that was a big shift that we saw in game two. And what I'm sure you loved watching the game, the back-to-back bunts by Lauren Johnson and Salyn Hawkins. Sydney Littlejohn, All-American at Alabama, texted me and said those might be the two most well-executed bunts in program history. I mean, they were both perfect. And Salyn's in particular, you want to talk about a Masters Sunday, that thing, bloop, check, spun. You don't get bunts like that maybe more than 1 out of 100 times. So again, it's the versatility and the variety of the offense that Alabama's been looking for this year that's been there at times that really showed up yesterday.
Yeah, and fun to watch, Gray. I mean, we've talked about this, and Vandegrift didn't. I was surprised because the offense really goes when Vandegrift goes, and she wasn't as effective, and the offense still got it done, and that tells you that it it is all about Mudita. I know we're spending 5 minutes on Bama, but it was huge, and it was a big win, and I'm so excited for tonight. So if you're in the chat, let me know what you want to hear and see because both myself and Nicole Mendez will be on site for Mic'd Up Monday.
All right. I'm going to pull the chat down.
Yeah, it's like they're going crazy with it.
And get ready. Send your questions now. It's time for the top 25 Q&A. And also, by the way, I will be there too with Mindy and Tara, obviously, and we're gonna crush. I mean, look, we got every base covered. We are your best infield. I lost it halfway through.
It's like you got some outfielders with you, Gray.
Sure. And then me, the DP, probably. They're not putting me in the field.
Mindy can pitch. She can pitch.
I have thrown one successful rise ball recently, and I felt really good about that.
We got to go back to golfing. I know we're going to have a golfing challenge. We got to figure that out. Maybe next week we'll talk about that.
Hutch,
okay,
where you
25.
at? All right, send us your top 25 questions. Here is the updated list. Number 1, the Fighting Texas Aggies out of College Station. Trisha Ford and company, number 1 in America, Texas A&M. Number 2, Oklahoma. Number 3, Texas. Number 4, Florida State. Number 5, Arkansas. Number 6, Tennessee. 7, UCLA. 8, South Carolina. 9, LSU, down 5 spots this week. 10, Oregon, with other big movers as I look around. Alabama up from 23 to 18. Duke down from 15 to 19. Nebraska up 3 spots. I'm going to be really blunt. Really bad weekend for kind of everybody from 17 to 25, basically except for Alabama and Stanford. I mean, everybody really kind of struggled this weekend. So if you're wondering why Alabama went up 5 spots, it's because of everybody else. We didn't even talk about Oklahoma State earlier and the just.
Yeah. How about Iowa State?
Yeah.
It's their conference win record. Program history. They've got 9 wins in conference play, first time ever.
And most of that's on the road.
So impressive. Cyclones and Jamie Pinkerton just really causing loads of issues in the Big 12 and staying in the Big 12. Reagan Shockey, I don't know if you saw it. I know you did, Gray, but the inside the park home run. I love that.
Why are we throwing inside?
She still has to execute, but I love that inside the park home run from Arizona's Reagan Shockey. So just want to make sure we got those 2 in.
So we've had a lot of questions in the chat about UCLA, but a lot of the social media commentary, which we'll start with, has been about Tennessee. So we will begin with Gabrielle. Give me all the info on why Tennessee is 6, LOL. What do you think, Tara? Why is Tennessee just at 6, even though they've beaten OU and Texas on the road?
Yeah, I think for me, I've been high on Tennessee all season long, and big on the road, Oklahoma, Texas, can't deny it, but I think for me, full body of work. And uh, for for me, I had Texas down at 3. I know they are our number one spot for I don't know how many weeks, whatever week we're in, and I can see Tennessee moving up quickly. I believe Tennessee was 10 last week. So I
That
just
is correct.
in the SEC, and for me, I think obviously series wins are big and huge, and you should move up. But also because the SEC is so volatile, it's hard to flip teams every week because people are beating up on each other. So for me, it's full body of work, and I can see Tennessee moving up into that 4 spot. Brady had Tennessee up at 3. So
Yeah,
you could all thank Brady because he's on your page. Those Tennessee Bowl fans, Brady's got Tennessee at 3.
so
I just still need to see more. Go on.
I did have Tennessee at 6. Kind of the biggest shift for me was I actually, Brian, I had UCLA at number 3 on my ballot. But I think one of the reasons why it's probably hard to put Tennessee higher is because of that home series loss to Arkansas. So that again kind of throws everything into flux, and it's really hard to just, well, you beat this team, so you got to be past them. We played too many games in this sport for that to be 100% the way that we operate when it comes to putting together our ballots. I think Tennessee is really, really good. I think Carlin Pickens is a game changer. I actually think that there's a lot of some of the 21-23 Alabama in Tennessee. I see a lot of similarities where you got an ace like Montana Fouts and then an offense that is, if not explosive, at least consistently able to find enough. And I think Tennessee this year is actually in a stronger position to make a run than they were last year, which I would not have anticipated coming into the season, considering last year they had Peyton Gottschall too and Kiki Malloy. But I just think this Tennessee team is really well rounded. And unless somebody hits Pickens, which nobody's doing right now, I'm not quite sure how you take them down. We'll see.
Yeah, I think that's going to be tough. Well, we've got the next couple weeks to figure that out, and I think the SEC tournament is going to be pivotal. I know for the Lady Vol fans a season ago, it was a little bit tough in that SEC tournament. So I think I'm looking at the top 25 now, and to be honest, Gray, the top 8 are pretty similar at this point in time, and the parity across the sport is at an all-time high. And I think that's what's so great about this, and we're allowed to, allows us to have these discussions. And Tennessee could easily be up in that top spot here in the next couple weeks.
I think this is an interesting point by Roach because somebody, asked about Florida State, and I think James asked why is Florida State never moving up. They're up 1 spot from 5 to 4. But Roach says, I think it's crazy the schools like FSU and UCLA are slowly creeping up, but don't get a lot of attention because of the SEC weirdness. And that's valid. I mean, I feel like, I was glad that we had Megan Grant on the show today. I felt like, especially this past weekend, with all the top 10 matchups in the SEC and all the craziness that those games brought, it took away so much of the oxygen of UCLA sweeping Washington in pretty dominant fashion and Florida State sweeping Cal in pretty dominant fashion. And those two teams have just kind of kept winning since UCLA stubbed their toe against Iowa. They've been on fire. FSU, they are extremely dangerous. And every other year theory says they'll be an OKC. So I believe in that as well.
Yeah, I had Florida State up at 4, so I'm pretty big on Florida State. I think
I had FSU at 5.
Yeah, I think they've shown that they can go out and not only win ball games but sweep. And big shout out to Janai Kerr. She has just been on an absolute tear here in the ACC for the Noles. But again, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Texas, Florida State, the UCLA, Tennessee. We've got I think this tournament is going to be the most fun tournament we've had in a really long time, Gray, because we're going to see a lot of teams go back and forth. And the point about the SEC, for me, it's a little bit of the strength of the schedule. And when you take a look, I don't know if you watched the broadcast, Gray, or if you had it up with you, but there was a blind resume test. And I
Yes.
think, yeah, I just think sometimes that strength of schedule is something that people don't really take into account, and the quad one wins as well. So
Yeah.
those are important stuff, and strength of schedule is really important and is to me.
Any other top 25 questions from the chat before we do a little bracketing?
Ooh, is Brady coming on?
I don't think so. Brady, do you want to come on? He's in the chat. Brady, do you want to come on?
I can't do anything because I'm on my phone. So
all right, well, I'll text him. I'll send him a link. Well, you know what? I'll send him a link and we'll just see what he does. That's the best way to do it.
He was going to come on this week and talk bracketology.
Well, I was a little worried because he was traveling, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that's right. He might be having
But I did update my 13-page bracket packet, #bracket packet, this morning. So I'm ready to talk about it because I think the list I came up with is fascinating.
You have a bracket packet?
Oh, yeah. 15 pages for the Out of the Box podcast.
Oh, good.
Bracket packet. I'm ready to. It's about to get trimmed. We're up to. We're getting closer to the spot where teams like Ohio State, who I have in the packet, are very close to getting out of the packet. I just have them there as a.
You like drop them out? Is it printed or is it on your laptop?
I print it for the pod, but I have it on my laptop today since we're recording tomorrow, and I don't want to print 26 pages in.
What is on the bracket packet?
So for the top 24 in the RPI, I use the RPI as, all right, who's a contender to host? And then I list them in that order.
Yeah.
And then I put all the pertinent information: overall record, conference record, RPI, strength of schedule, non-conference strength of schedule, KPI, record against RPI, top 10, top 25, top 50, road record, worst loss / bad losses, best wins, average RPI of wins, average RPI of losses. If I'm on the right track, let's ask Brady. Hi, Brady. Welcome into Good Morning Softball America.
Hello. I don't know what the feedback's like. We're just laying here. We being me and Baylor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was a late night last night getting back from Texas.
Well, welcome, Brady. Thanks for joining us, because I know last week we promised the people that we bring you on to talk a little bit of bracketology, and Gray's got his bracket packet, which is bracket packet.
Bracket packet?
Which is apparently 26 pages long. So let's get into it. Bracketology wise, I'm going to let you go, Brady, because I know that this is your baby, literally. Well, you've got your other baby right there.
Yeah, he's there. Baylor not a part of bracketology, the child or the team right now, for hosting anyway.
Yeah. Gonna be honest, very unprepared for this. Haven't really checked back in. But I think it's just like, one thing I want to say is last week there was just a lot of confusion. And I think a lot of teams, like, people get confused about like seeing the rankings compared to the RPI and what hosts, and going back to what Gray was saying in the top 25 wins and such. And like, Texas Tech wouldn't host today.
No.
But they're like consensus like top 15 team. And so getting into that, like what Gray was saying, those things matter, and always making sure you're checking with the NCAA nitty gritty. Because
bracket packet. All right, sorry, keep going.
Yes,
that's right. Baylor loves the bracket packet.
But yeah, and I think that's the thing is like what's really interesting, I think, with Gray, and we've talked about this, is it's really weird at the top. Like, today, like, I think a lot of us think how good Oklahoma and Texas have been, but I don't know if they're going to be top 4 seeds based on their current resume. Key values the highest. Hello. But yeah, I mean, they're both sitting around like 8 or 9 in the RPI, if I'm correct, off the top of my head.
Yes, correct.
Sorry, I was just hit by a toy. But those are the things that we all have to consider when they go into it. It's not going to be very clear. I mean, South Carolina still has a bunch of top 25 wins, and that's why they're going to be so high. The RPI is so high. And so I think the top eight's really going to be hard to crack. Another thing Gray and I have talked about is, are they really going to put 7 of the SEC in the top 8? And so that's why I think UCLA might have a very good chance, and why this series against Oregon is so big. Now, Oregon's teetering on that top 25, and we get into the weird conversation is it better for UCLA to win 2 out of 3 and help Oregon's resume, opposed to sweeping Oregon and where Oregon might drop out of the top 25? Fun things of RPI.
Yeah, and I'll add this as well about Oregon. You know, Brady, last year we were talking a lot about bracket clues. You know, if you see this team here early in the selection show, that'll probably tell you what's going to happen later. And I know we're right at about a month away from the bracket being revealed, but the way that the committee this year handles Texas and Oklahoma is going to tell us a lot about what they're going to do with Oregon specifically, because those are the 3 big red flags when it comes to strength of schedule and non-conference strength of schedule. We've seen the committee, hi Baylor's hand, destroy teams for bad non-conference strength of schedules, and then we've also seen them ignore it, a la Oklahoma a couple seasons ago. So if they ignore it with Texas and Oklahoma but keep Oregon out of hosting, then I would have a problem. Again, we're a month away. We'll see how it shakes out. But I kind of think the 3 fates of those teams are a little tied together just because those specific metrics look so similar.
I think Tennessee's non-con SOS is kind of in that same spot too.
Let me check the packet. Please hold.
And so I think I was talking
58.
No, that's a lot better than those 2. But yeah, and Tennessee is going to be another one, like, because the RPI is in that same area with OU and Texas. But I mean, that's just eye test. I mean, you could say those are the 2 best series wins of anyone. And so last year the committee used the RPI to help pick the host, but it wasn't as important in terms of seeding as it has been in previous years. And so that's why it's going to be very interesting to see if they go back off the top wins more than the RPI number itself.
I'll ask one more question, then Tara, I know you've probably got one. I can't think of any. Did you notice any patterns with the KPI last year? Because, somebody was asking me this morning, because Alabama, I think, is 21 in the KPI. They were asking what that means for Alabama's resume. I've got Alabama, I believe, at 13 right now because of the quality wins. But is there something that maybe I'm missing about the way the committee looked at the RPI or the KPI last year and how that was utilized?
I personally didn't see anything, and I know it's been brought up and people want it to be used, but until there's an actual trend from them or they say it live after the show like they tend to do, especially with the NCAA, I just don't know. It's so hard to incorporate that because we try to guess. This is the thing with the Rocket is we all try to guess the best, but the committee always seems to just change things a little bit each year, so it makes it tougher. But no, I didn't see any trends with the KPI, which kind of sucks because it is very, very more helpful. And KPI, what is a lot different in terms of RPI, is it factors in how you win, runs scored, and when you kind of beat them. Because RPI doesn't take into the fact that sometimes teams just trend downward or upward, and so it gives a measurement of each win. And if you go on there, you can see oh, it's 1 plus this value or this, and Mississippi State's loss to Northwestern State is the worst loss on there because it's minus 1 point something, and I don't think anyone else has one close to it.
And I really quickly, I'm double checking because Fang makes a good point. Oregon's 3 quad 1 wins. That is significantly less than what Texas and Oklahoma have. But I they've still got 2 opportunities within the top 50 in a series against Indiana and UCLA. So I don't know. There are trends that sometimes the committee does not follow. We've seen them. Was it 2 years ago where they were talking about the amount of quality wins, and then Baylor, who had more top 25 wins than half the hosts, were traveling for regionals? I just that's something that I'm always tracking. So Tara, what do you have thought-wise on bracketology?
I mean, I'm just taking a look at who's on that bubble for hosting, and because for me, looking at the RPI and who's going to get that 16 seed and why, and I just think it's interesting in what you're saying, Brady, and for those that are listening, Oklahoma's non-conference strength of schedule is 147. Is that what you got, Gray?
I've got 199.
Okay, I'm on Warren Nolan.
Oh.
And I don't know if that's more up to date or not.
Nitty Gritty has him at 199. Non-con SOS.
So, and then what is Texas?
Texas is 110 off memory. Yes, 110.
And then Oregon?
Oregon is got to go down to 20. Amanda, I'll bring the bracket packet for you. 182.
Yeah. So I don't know that anyone in the top, what I'm taking a look at, 25 in RPI is anywhere near that, correct?
No.
So I think that's going to be a huge thing to look out for. So back to my question. Sorry, Brady. On the bubble, who's going to be number 16?
You're muted.
He's muted.
I got him. I can unmute him. I have that power. Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's why.
Buddy hit his head. Really.
Oh, Baylor.
Okay. Greg,
right.
For you.
I right now, I have Mississippi State at 16, one spot ahead of Oklahoma State. And
okay, why?
The thing that worries me is Mississippi State's a weird case because this is going to be, and Brady, you can correct me once Baylor is fine. Mississippi State is going to be a pretty unprecedented case because Brady mentioned the Northwestern State loss. There has never, in all the years I've done this, been a loss that bad metrically in the bracket packet. Never. So I have no idea how the committee is going to handle a loss to 277 in the RPI. That's also mixed in with a loss to Middle Tennessee and Jacksonville State at a neutral site. Mississippi State's got a lot of high-quality wins. Non-con SOS isn't great, but I think right now the metrics that they've got are just ahead of where Oklahoma State is because we did see last year, kind of for the first time ever, the committee acknowledge how you finish is important with LSU. That's why LSU is not a top 8 seed. And Oklahoma State right now is not trending in the positive how you finish category. So I did kind of because of that just put Mississippi State ahead of Oklahoma State. It felt weird. Brady, do you have anything?
Yeah, that spot's really weird, especially like when you mix in Stanford too, who doesn't have like the quality wins, especially Auburn as well in the top 18 of the RPI. I use that as a really good like if you kind of look back like into the adjusted RPI, like no one's really hosted outside of the top 18 RPI in the finish. But I think that could be different this year just because of the quality wins and how like the top 20 has been shifting around a bunch. Auburn really throws a wrench into it because the RPI is so good, but the wins just aren't there, which that might change if they keep trending upward. But yeah, the bubble is that I think like there's probably 13 teams are safe. But yeah, Oklahoma State's kind of being on that bubble. They don't have a ton of quality opportunities left now. But Mississippi State, like you said, it's a very, very interesting case. You know, the top wins, but a really poor loss. But I know we have different opinions on this. I don't think Texas Tech is out of it yet. But this weekend against Arizona is very, very big.
If they decide to sweep Arizona, then all right, let's have a discussion. Right now, they're not in my top 20. I have Oklahoma State, Oregon, Auburn, which for welcome to the chat, Malvos, and Stanford right out of a top 16. I will also say, Brady, I'll be curious what your answer is to this. Every year, I feel like there's a team who fans watch and go, wow, they're good at softball. And then the committee releases the bracket and they're like the 14 or 15 seed. The pick this year for me right now, I'm leaning Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech's going to get a much worse seed than the talent level that they have. And some poor top 4 national seed is going to look and have to face Emma Lemley. And that's going to stink. But I do worry for Virginia Tech's profile right now.
Yeah, and congratulations to Emma Lemley. She got a golden ticket. There goes Brady.
Oh, Brady left.
Yeah. Congratulations to Emma Lenny. She got a golden ticket. So I don't know if you saw that on social grade, but
Yeah.
AUSL's going out and inviting college players with a golden ticket. So, but I'm fascinated by this, Gray, the more I'm looking at it, because Oklahoma State's non-conference strength of schedule, like, is the committee going to award you playing difficult games early? Historically, have they? So why would they? You know, I'm so fascinated, and the next couple of weeks are going to tell us a lot, and always so many questions on Selection Sunday night, and we're going to have a special show. Once we put that together, we'll give you all the details, but we'll have a special show either that night after or probably the next day.
All right, I want to address this from Brian. Brian's been very active today. Hello, Brian. Thank you for joining us. He said, I've watched UCLA softball for 15 years and NCAA seedings, I assume is what he meant. I find it hard to believe we won't be a top 8 seed if we win the Oregon series 3-0 or 2-1. We pass the eye test. All right, first off, the list that I've created and that Brady's making is right now. So we're not taking into account stuff that hasn't happened yet. We'll adjust the list after this weekend's games against Oregon. I do think if UCLA were to sweep Oregon, they would be in a prime spot. However, right now I've got UCLA at 11 in my list because of a couple things, specifically overall strength of schedule, only 6 RPI top 25 wins. That's significantly less than a lot of teams vying for a top 8 seed. And the top 50 wins are kind of about right with everybody. So they need those quality wins. And we pass the eye test. It is impossible to judge how much that is utilized by the committee. In 2019, the committee said we can't use the eye test. Last year, they talked about the eye test. In past years, they've referenced Oklahoma when they had bad SOS numbers and said, well, the eye test said. So we pass the eye test. Each year, the eye test is a total enigma. It's the one thing we as bracketologists cannot prepare for. So it's not something that I even really factor in, even though I think UCLA is very good. I had them at 11.
Yeah, I mean, it's 40-5 on the season right now. The Bruins. Is that correct?
Here's why Brady left.
Baylor's like, I'm done with this. Again, I think if UCLA does sweep Oregon, I think it would be hard to not give the Bruins a top 8 seed with what I'm looking at. But
possibly, but again, Brady made the point. Like,
he's right. There's 8 SEC teams.
Yeah, no, and that's true too.
And then they're going to say this isn't fair, and so let's put in a Big Ten team.
Well, and that's
weird to say Big Ten.
That's the unprecedented nature of this, though, right? Like, we're still learning. We don't have the evidence yet to see how the committee's going to handle this. But to Brady's point, I just want to point this out: how stupid the RPI is sometimes. If UCLA sweeps Oregon, that could drop them out of the RPI top 25, which would negate the quality wins that UCLA would have grabbed. So that's something that we saw last year. I believe it was A&M beating South Carolina in the SEC tournament, knocked South Carolina out of the RPI top 25, which took away 4 RPI top 25 wins. It's unfortunate that it works like that, but those are the weird quirks sometimes with the numbers.
Yeah, maybe at one point we can get a system that everybody understands.
That'd be great. Okay, that's enough. Thank you, Brady. Let's talk about what's to come this week before we wrap up. And thank you to everybody for hanging out with us today. This has been a really fun show. But now we look ahead. One major midweek, unless I missed something, South Carolina at Clemson. You want to talk about bracketing? This is very, very, very important.
Oh, huge. And Clemson quietly just getting things done. I think it's going to be a big, big midweek. And they had played previously before in a midweek. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Correct? Yeah. With South Carolina taking that. And again, when you talk about quality wins, I wonder if we're going to start seeing teams drop some of these midweeks or not, Gray. Obviously, they're not. But I'm just saying.
Add some. Cough, Missouri.
Or add some midweeks to make sure that they're 50%, over 500.
He popped back on, so we're going to bring back in Brady. Brady, we are moving on from bracketology, but I wanted to give you the last word. Anything else you want to say about this year and trying to figure out your list?
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna do something on like the website, kind of talking about like Tech and Oregon's cases in the future for them and why this weekend is so big. But Tech is one of those teams that it might drop one of their games. They still have a game against ACU coming up, and they're like RPI 170, so there's no benefit to that.
Get it out.
So, but they have the Arizona series, they have an ASU series and BYU series. So those are top 50 games. And they have another midweek against North Texas. And so that's why I'm kind of like think that there's able to get up there just because like there's so much movement between 22 and 16. But they also need just some help. Like, if Oregon beats UCLA this weekend and takes that series, like that's going to be tough to jump up too. And so, that's it is very interesting too with Clemson. I think it's very interesting how, like, after last year they're in such a better spot, even though they are so young. And if they win that South Carolina game, like, that's going to be even bonus because the non-conference games, they give you bonus points for those that don't know, and like that's why it's so big to schedule good games early on.
Yeah. I'll ask this because Cheyenne asked, Gray, is South Carolina still your 1 seed? No. And you can hear my 1 seed on the Out of the Box podcast Wednesday morning. Brady, do you want to tease your 1 seed based on what the list looks like now?
Based off what it is now, it will still be the same 1 seed I had last week, which is our fresh, newly ranked #1 team in our poll as well in Texas A&M.
Oh, I thought that was going to be just a giant tease. And go check out the site if you want to make sure that
Wednesday
what Brady
morning
said was right.
Brackettology.
How long does it take you to crank all that out?
Usually around 2.5, 3 hours.
Hardest working man.
But
Are
again,
my things off?
they're not in hosting, but Baylor isn't dead yet. But
Oh, devastating. I've lost the emotions
I got
on
you.
my screen. Thank you, Tara.
You're welcome. I got you.
Brady, good to see you, pal. I'm glad you made it
Yeah.
home safe. And I hope Baylor, the team, and Baylor, the child, have a good day today.
yeah, we'll see. It's always an adventure.
Thanks,
Talk to you
Brady.
soon.
Later.
Awesome.
Oh, man. I love Brady.
Always an adventure. Baylor does join our weekly staff calls, so this is nothing new for us. He's just now on the podcast too. We
That's
can get
true.
him his own podcast.
Had
All
to
right,
happen.
Okay, so midweek we're on. Oh, we got a couple more to go here. Great.
Yeah,
done.
we're cranking. I know you want to get on the road. I want to see you soon. Okay. It just so happens that there are a lot of great games. Big 12 battle, Texas Tech at Arizona, right in Brady's neck of the woods. Texas Tech, this is huge for them. Arizona, if they want to win the Big 12, they probably have to sweep. Definitely win the series if they want to even be in the race.
Oh, what a fun series. This is one that is going to be obviously Nigel Kennedy against an Arizona offense that has just done a heck of a job.
Hi, Grant Gray. Sorry, keep going.
And what I'm excited for this. Who would have thought we were going to be excited about a Big 12 series between Texas Tech and Arizona?
A year ago, I would have said, what do you mean?
I feel like that's every week we're saying something like that, but we'll get used to these conference realignments. But again, that's going to be a fun one in the desert, and we've already gone over UCLA at Oregon. Thank you, Megan Grant, again, and Vinny for getting Megan here on the show. But another one to keep an eye on. I think sometimes all those games out west are late here on the East Coast, but I recommend those that are on the East Coast to stay able and watch those because those have some pretty big implications for both the Bruins and the Ducks.
100%. SEC, look at the list. I wrote down 5 key series. Which is the one that you, Tara Henry, are like, this one? Yep.
LSU at Texas. I mean, that's just for both teams, right? Obviously, both coming off series losses. LSU getting swept by Texas A&M and Texas losing to Tennessee. I think that's going to be pivotal, and I'm excited about Mississippi State at Oklahoma. I think that's going to be a fun one as well.
Thursday is in Devon Park, right? Isn't it? One of the games is in OKC.
Yeah, in OKC.
Yeah.
Which that's pretty cool too. I mean, that game, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, to have that many softball fans. Shout out to Oklahoma City and the Oklahoma fans and the Oklahoma State fans for packing that park across the country. Speaking of sold out crowds, NC State,
Ooh.
obviously huge. And if you see those and I don't see them, please tag me. Thank you, Jared, from FSU, for tagging me to make sure that I got NC State hooked up. UCLA sold out crowd as well. I know Rhodes. This is nothing new at Rhodes.
I promise everyone it's okay. It happens all the time.
But again, it does help to be playing a squad like Oklahoma. But Rhodes has been selling out for years and years and years. So if there are crowds that are selling stadiums out, packed stadiums, please let me know about it. Would love to make sure that we get some love out to everybody.
All right, I'm going to cheat as well and say 2 SEC series. Auburn at Tennessee. Is the Auburn thing for real, or is it just who they're playing? Well, we're going to find out against Carlton Pickens in Knoxville. So, Auburn, if you want to keep it rolling, make a statement. If Auburn goes and wins the series at Tennessee, we are again talking about the hosting conversation big time for the Tigers because of the metrics, and those would be just 2 huge wins on the road. And finally, how do I not talk about Alabama, Florida? I mean, one of the great OG SEC rivalries. It's also that weird, quirky matchup where Florida has a winning record in Tuscaloosa, Alabama has a winning record in Gainesville. Alabama, the way they played yesterday, that's a team that can go to Gainesville and win that series, especially with Rothrock still not looking totally right, with Florida pitching kind of being a question, and with the way that their offense seemingly is right now relying on the long ball. And we haven't seen a lot of sustained explosiveness. So I think that's going to be a really fun Thursday, Friday, Saturday series ahead of Easter Sunday. And it'll be fun to see Steph and my old podcast buddy, Tim Walton, and Francesca and Naya and all these other folks down in Gainesville. Florida people, we are very excited to get down there. I cannot wait to see all y'all.
Yeah, should be a good one. And then can't forget Ole Miss at Georgia in Athens, 2 teams that need to get some wins there as well. So that's the SEC slate for next week.
What's on the site, Tara? Let's wrap it up.
Like you pointed at me.
Well, there's all this commentary about marching bands in the chat.
I can't see it. I can't see the chat. Oh, my heart. On the site, top 25 is up there. We've got Brady's thoughts from the weekend, and we'll have our composite rankings. We've got a couple stories up there. Graham Hayes is writing some good ones too. So make sure you head on over to the site and check that out. Brackettology Wednesday morning. And not time for power rankings yet. Power rankings at the end of the month, but go out and check out who's doing what, and just let us know what you want to see and hear. And obviously up on YouTube, you've got us here, and check out the shorts, some post-game interviews, and we in Tuscaloosa tonight, 3 of us. That'll be fun.
That's right. Nicole will be here eventually. I think her flight, she'll be at the field. But I don't think I'll see her until then. We're 3 hours away from me getting in the car and driving to Rhodes for game 3 between Alabama and Oklahoma. I am so excited.
We're like 3 minutes from me getting in the car.
Yeah, Tara's got to bounce. So check out Out of the Box as well on Wednesday morning when that drops. And tune in tonight. Amanda, if you're still watching, she and Matt do an unbelievable job on TV, Mic'd Up Monday on SEC Network. Tom and I will have the radio broadcast for the Tide on the Varsity app and all the other ways that you can track it. Plank is here. If you're trying to track Alabama, Oklahoma, and you can't find it, it's kind of on you. There are a million ways to listen, watch, and follow the stats, and we hope that you will join us for the content as well.
I can't wait to see Plank. I'm going to see him pregame, so that's another reason I'm going to be there early. So I'm going to go over and see Plank. So
fun. I haven't gotten to see him yet because I've been down on the field, and then their pregame show starts so early.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to go over there.
I know, that's why I'm going over. So if you Oklahoma fans will be on the pregame with Plank at some point, so hopefully you can tune in and make sure you listen to Plank's pregame.
Yeah, Tom was the guest yesterday, and I understand why they didn't ask him back after the way the game went.
Well, he asked me yesterday before the game even started. So
I know, I'm kidding. Tom said that. He was like, I don't think Plank will have me back today based on how the game went. But hey, we're going to have a lot of fun tonight at Rhodes. We need to go. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us in the chat. Y'all were awesome. The questions were great. We'll dive deeper into bracketology and everything else next time on Good Morning Softball America. But for now, we got to get ready for Monday Night Softball. Thank you to Brady Vernon. Thank you to Megan Grant. That is the wonderful, delightful Tara Henry. I am that guy, Gray Robertson. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.